Hello, welcome back to Yes and by Marin YouTube, talking about authentic alignment every single Tuesday. I am so excited to be back with you again this week, talking about my Yes and Model yoga package. I talked specifically about each sequence and the whole package message last week, so check out that video if you haven't seen it already. And this week I'm going to talk about the process and what it was like for me to go through it as a little insight into what it might be like for you. So to give you some context, let me start by explaining how I created this yoga package. Once I had designed all 4 classes so that I had an idea of the model as a whole, I recorded the audio. So I did an hour and 15 minutes was about the length of each class, and then from that point I had these recordings to follow in the studio. So I went in the studio, laid out my mat, and followed the class much like you will follow the class if you choose to participate in this yoga package or one of the yoga sequences. And so this gave me a really unique experience. I was not only going through it with the mindset of this is my package and my offering through Yes and, so this business and creator and ownership side of it, but then also this practitioner side of it. What is this experience like? What do I love about the experience? What might I want to tweak for next time I create a yoga package? One of the takeaways I experienced right away as I laid out my mat and took the place of the practitioner is that these sequences felt a little slower than I was used to doing yoga. Of course, I don't usually follow my own instruction, so I'm actually curious to talk to my students and ask how the pace of my class is. Do they enjoy the pace? Does it tend to be a little slower? Do they want more fast pace? Do they appreciate the slower pace? Something else that I want to take into consideration, however, is that I did do the audio recordings first, as I explained. And because of this, I didn't have bodies in front of me to give me another cue about what pace feels right. And so I think because I had the audio first, I didn't have maybe as quick or as urgent of a tempo. There are some great things about this, and there are some things that I want to bring to you to ask if you enjoy this. Because I developed this yoga package in the mindset of the model work, rather than just a physical practice, I think the slower pace was actually really beneficial in that I got to really digest and embody and be with not only the physical practice, but come back to the intention of each class within my postures. The part that I questioned and that I want to bring to you is that it's hard. It's a hard sequence, each individually, and the package itself, it can definitely be a challenge to hold postures for a little longer than just a breath, right? And so to go through each and really embrace the posture before moving on to the next brought a different level of challenge that I hadn't experienced, at least recently, in the yoga classes that I usually participate in. Something that I loved about these sequences, at the beginning there's a grounding exercise for each of the sequences that really allows me and you as the practitioner to sit in with that intention and to really call it to mind so that you can be with it throughout practice. And because of that, even though the postures themselves felt familiar or felt like I had experienced them before in other sequences or other classes or between the sequences in this one package, they felt unique and different, and I learned something that I hadn't learned before. So for instance, if I'm in goddess pose in the roadblock sequence, what's on my mind is where is this hard and what is preventing me from making this a little more easeful? Or what is coming up when I really experience fire? Whereas when I experienced goddess pose in the outcome series, it was more about expressing whatever existed in that moment. And so the takeaway from that experience is that even though vinyasa often has similar postures between classes, between series, that they are unique every single time I step into them. Another takeaway I had from the developer standpoint and the practitioner standpoint is leaning into the notion of letting good enough be good enough. One example of this is that the outcomes video, the audio as I recorded it, my microphone wasn't set up correctly, and I did not realize this until the hour and a half was over. So there are only a few times throughout the sequence that the audio gets muffled, but my perfectionist in me wants to re-record the whole thing. And I had to sit and choose whether I was going to do that or let good enough be good enough. And I chose to let good enough be good enough. However, I decided to reduce the price of that specific sequence. So all the other sequences are $20 and the outcome sequence is $15 because there are a few audio imperfections. So this to me was a great way of staying authentic to myself, of wanting quality work and striving to provide the absolute best quality of offerings to you, and also leaning into the letting good enough be good enough, leaning into the notion that we can't be perfect, that I can't be perfect, and I'm not trying to be. I'm trying to be authentic. Another example of letting good enough be good enough is that a few times I fell out of postures. A few times I lost my balance, or it was a little too hard. My body was saying, I need a break, and so I came out of Virabhadrasana Dvi, of Warrior Two, for a moment, and then went back in. Historically speaking, I may have refilmed the sequence, or I may have edited so that I stayed in the posture for the full length that I am cueing others to stay in the posture. Honestly, showing up inauthentically because I'm masking or editing the humanness of my experience. I again was taken aback and thought, what's possible if I release something where every now and then I falter, every now and then I come out of a posture? For me, what I think that is empowering, not only to myself, again, letting good enough be good enough, doing what's best for me, but also empowering you to show that even the yoga instructor is not perfect. Let us both be authentic and do this practice just as we are right now in this moment. And my last big takeaway is just how much I enjoyed this process. From coming up with the idea of creating a yoga sequence that aligns with my coaching model, with the authentic alignment process. And then from developing each class to say, how could I best represent each part of my model, to recording the audio and allowing myself to really be present, and then to doing the practice, taking the shoes of the practitioner and seeing the final outcome. I love the whole process. I know I'm going to do it again. I know that I'm going to continue creating yoga packages and that I already have so many ideas for what they might look like. So that was my experience creating this yoga package. If you have any recommendations, requests, or if you have any feedback from this yoga package, I'd love to learn what your experience was like as you went through the yoga process yourself. A quick reminder that I do have a free Yes and by Marin yoga sequence already posted. Just check out the link below or go to my website so you can get a feel for my instruction if you're not sure about the yoga package yet. And if you are excited to embody your alignment journey through this Yes and model yoga package, a reminder that if you buy all 4 videos, you do get a percentage off. So check out that deal on my website, and I sincerely look forward to hearing about the embodiment of your alignment journey. As always, feel free to reach out to me on any of my platforms, Facebook, Instagram, right here on YouTube, or send me an email, yesandbymarin@gmail.com. I will see you next week right here on Yes and by Marin YouTube. I'll be in Thailand, more to come on that, and I look forward to hearing about your authentic alignment journey through yoga.